You said that a lot of the arguments they ran into when you spoke to people who ate and broke down into either the God argument or was the might makes right one. I personally ended up running across a third one, which I thought was kind of strange because I really didn't have a good answer for him. This guy was a real avid reader or watcher of National Geographics, and so I thought liking animals and like watching and knowing and learning about them, they'd be really easy to talk to about animal rights. And his response was that he said, okay, I get animals having the same rights as humans, but does that mean that humans have the same rights as animals? And I really didn't have a good answer to that one, because he starts pointing out these examples of, okay, well, animals can eat each other alive, they can lay eggs in each other, which hatch out and eat each other alive, and there are all these examples of suffering and pain, which really bring tears to your eyes.
Well, I have a quick answer for that. I think it's a good one to pass around. Do you want to start with something?
If what you're saying was, his argument was, if animals can
do it, why can't humans?
Why can't humans? I would say I would have told that person that if they felt comfortable running into a field and tackling a cow and eating it raw with with his hands and teeth the way an animal does, I would say that's okay. But I'm not sure that we know any cases where humans were farmed and machined by animals for any type of use.
So I think he was referring more to the eating of animals as food as such, or using animal skins, or
right. And I would give my consent. I would give my blessing to that person. I would say, well, if you can go skin a cow with your bare hands in a field without it running away or trampling you, then I would say go for it. Then, if you actually think you could do that. But I doubt that they could. I'm sorry?
So basically encouraging personal accountability. If they're going to kill that animal, then they need to be responsible for it?
No, it's a smart-ass way of saying you're not strong enough to kill a cow with your bare hands in the field and eat it with your teeth the way they are.
Okay, because I guess the references he was giving, like the Indians going after buffalo, or the native Eskimos going after seal.
Sure, and if he lives in a teepee, if that's going to be his argument, so his mailing address needs to be like in a teepee. It's not a sound argument if you're not living the lifestyle of the people that you're stealing ideology from.
I have a couple answers to that too.
This is weird. So I think that one thing that's interesting about Native Americans is they did not, and maybe there's somebody here who knows more about them than I do, but in general, I don't think they domesticated animals. So, in terms of that type of situation, they had a much different relationship with animal usage than we do. My general answer, though, to what I think was the heart of his question, is that I would agree. And I would say that, you actually don't have a right not to be killed by me, and I don't have a right not to be killed by you. I don't think there's some generalized right that is sort of like my heart has a right to keep eating. It does it, it does it. I think that what we do as society is that we create rights in order to stabilize and be able to progress. We say, if I don't have to worry about you killing me randomly at some point, I can do something like, study science, or create a machine, or make art, or make love to somebody without thinking you're going to shoot me in the head while it's occurring. And if you do those things, as a society, we say, we're going to punish you because you're breaking our rules. And this line of who we afford rights to, right to freedom and lack of fear from violence, changes throughout time. And it changes throughout time based on who we consider to be people. The legal definition of person, and that which now includes corporations, much to the chagrin of people who, think and have hearts. But I think that the thing to remember is that rights is a constructed reality. And so, as a society, we determine who has them. And I don't think that anybody in the animal rights movement is asking for animals to have the same rights as people. I think what we're asking for is that their considerations be given equal interest, and their interests be given consideration. So, their interests are obviously different in some ways than ours. They have similar interests to ours, to nurture their children through whatever stage of adulthood, they bring them to have some sort of freedom of movement and ability to interact and act naturally and those sorts of things that we fight for. But, they don't have an interest in the Wii or PlayStation or things like we do in general. So I think what we want is equal consideration of their interests. So I think if you can frame it for a person in a way that they understand that, like, the question of, like, do we get the same rights animals do to, like, rip each other apart in the wild and eat each other? If you want that, I guess, we could as a society come together and, like, give ourselves that right, but it seems sort of fucking stupid. Like, it wouldn't it be better to, like, take what we've been developing through a lot of war and violence and fighting and everything else over the past millennium to try to establish a society where people are treated fairly, and continue to extend that.
So anyway, having been on like doing 400 shows, I do get to a lot of subject matter, including Native Americans and vegetarianism. And you would be surprised how vegan Native Americans have been. So I ask you to Google an article by Dr. Rita Laws, which is American Indians and Vegetarianism. And until the white man came with the gun, there wasn't as much animal killing at that time. So many people, they're in the yoga movement now. People are just making up this ridiculous, it's meditative, it's whatever, to make excuses for their addiction. But the thing is, we'll beat anybody's argument, you know what I mean? It's like somebody saying, oh, well, what about plants? So many animals eat so many plants, as if somebody were actually into plants' rights, they're just creating these bogus arguments. It's like, okay, well, you see a carnivorous animal? If you think you're a carnivorous animal, again, you're not going to be able to bring that animal down with your teeth, your fangs, whatever, but, the fact that 90% of disease is caused by the consumption of meat and dairy shows that we're not a carnivorous animal if it causes disease this way. If it depletes the environment this way, we're not. We actually have a connection to everything that's going on, and that's what I try to do with my show on a weekly basis, to be timely. What's in the news this week? You have, Barack the Bummer is talking about a healthcare plan. He's saying, well, most of these foreclosures are the result of catastrophic health care. Well, 90% of disease is caused by meat and dairy. So all of these foreclosures are caused by meat and dairy. Meat and dairy are the most destructive and evil forces on the planet, related to everything wrong with us. From violence, personal violence, to war. We fight wars over resources like oil and water. Meat and dairy make people personally belligerent, like on the show. I try to talk metaphorically, like, oh, you are what you eat, you're consuming all this violence. And then you see a scientific study that says, well, it's a calcium-phosphorus imbalance that leads to belligerence in people. So there's no argument to stand on other than, it tastes good and, we're all going to die of some, it's like, it tastes good is basically the only thing they can come down to, I would imagine.
It's mostly just trying to justify something by saying, well, animals can hunt and I can hunt.
And I would call that a might makes right argument. It would fit into that realm. It's like, it's again, because we can, it's okay.
Right.